Two Chairs No Waiting, episode number 679, Mayberry News, the eBullet, issue 2, 2022. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by Weaver's Department Store and by donations from listeners just like you. The executive producer of episode number 679 is Mark Copeland. Mark Copeland. Thank you, Mark, for your support of the show, and thank you for being here with me as well. It is great to be here in Mayberry with you. And here we are, episode number 679. Wow. What I just can't believe I've been doing it quite this long, but I'm glad to spend all this time in Mayberry with you. So I'm Alan Newsom. I think I said that, the host of Two Chairs No Waiting. And I really do appreciate you taking some time to listen to us. Now, there are so many things going on in the Mayberry world, which is kind of hard to believe. After 60 years, there's still all these different things going on. And I wanted to share some of those with you. And lucky for us to stay in the know, we have the eBullet. That's right, the eBullet, the official newsletter of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club. It's called the eBullet, and Jim Clark, the presiding goober of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club, has been putting out these newsletters. It started in the form of a paper newsletter, the Bullet, and then it became the eBullet, along with some other paper versions as it kept getting smaller, like the Pocket and the Button. So now we're just down to this electronic newsletter. Now, hopefully you're already subscribed to that. And if you're not, shame on you. It doesn't cost anything. You could have been heading over there and getting that anytime. You can head over to imayberry.com. And when you go there, there's a link right at the top of the page. It tells you how to subscribe or to go read the latest edition or look at all the past archives. There's a lot of stuff at imayberry.com. And if you've never been there, I definitely invite you to do that, because you'll find all kinds of fun Mayberry, Andy Griffith Show related information at the eBullet or at imayberry.com, as well as the eBullet. You'll find it there. So we're going to be talking about at least parts of the eBullet. This is from the March 2022 issue. It's already into April now, but we haven't covered it yet, so we're going to do that. Then we're going to do a little bit of trivia. Then we're going to hear from SpiritWalker with Returning to Mayberry. So we're going to hear all that stuff. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. I'm going to get a little background music for us as I read the eBullet. So let's get this going. And that just makes it a little bit more fun for you. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you at all. I'm going to just kind of paraphrase some of the things, but let me just head over there to the eBullet for March 2022. So this is the second issue of 2022. And we're going to get into the Floyd's Barbershop bulletin board and event calendar. Now, this is something important for you that's a Mayberry fan to know what's going on in case you would like to go there. I've been talking about all these events for years, and definitely something I want to encourage you to try to go to. And hey, if you're listening to this when it comes out, we have an event coming up this weekend. It's April the 8th and 9th. We're going to have Keith Thibodeau. Keith was Johnny Paul Jason in the Andy Griffith Show, and he was Little Ricky on I Love Lucy. So they're going to have Mayberry and I Love Lucy Day in Granville, Tennessee. Granville, Tennessee. You can look them up at granvilletn.com. You can go and check them out and find it out. But they're going to have a squad car replicas are going to be there. Trivia, going to be playing some trivia there. So, hey, some of the trivia you've been hearing here on the podcast, perhaps that's going to help you be all spun up and ready to go. So you'll be able to check out all that stuff and join us. But we're going to have several tribute artists are going to be there. We're even going to have a Ricky and Lucy there with us. So this ought to be a lot of fun. The Mayberry Squad Car Nationals is going to move from Danville, Indiana, moving down to Granville, Tennessee. And we're going to be running the Mayberry Squad Car Nationals right down the main street of Granville about 1:30, something like that, on Saturday. Guys, this ought to be a lot of fun. So if you're in the area this coming weekend, definitely want to encourage you to come on over and see us. The end of April 28th through the 30th, Margaret Carey. Now, you remember her as being Bess Muggins, and Helen Scobie. She played basically the same character as two different names. And Ruta Lee. Ruta Lee will be here at this place too. She's that college kid. Hey, Andy, it's that college kid, Darlene Mason. They're going to be at the Missouri Cherry Blossom Festival. It's going to be April the 28th and through the 30th. And you'll be able to meet all these great people, including, the great great granddaughter of Calvin Coolidge. Oh, yeah, she's going to be there too. Oh, so hey, go and check that out. And while you're there, Randy Turner, who you may have heard on this podcast, he'll be giving a talk about Mayberry connections to Missouri while he's there as well. So for more information, you can head over to Cherry Blossom Fest, cherryblossomfest.com, and check it out. On May the 7th in Valley Head, Alabama, they're going to have the Memories of Mayberry Festival. And that's an event. We're going to have Barney Woods is there as Barney, the Mayberry Deputy Barney will be there. And myself will be there as Floyd. And we'll be there throughout the day. We have a squad car there. We'll be doing some stuff on stage, visiting with people. And it's all to raise money for the Valley Head Volunteer Fire Department. So if you're in the Valley Head, Alabama area, you can check it out. There's a link to it, but it's really long. I'll tell you what it is. It's visit lookoutmountain.com/events/memories of Mayberry. If I was you, I'd just go to the eBullet and click the link. So head over to imayberry.com, click the link for the eBullet, and then look for that. You'll find it there. But that's on May the 7th. And then coming up in July, we're having the 10th annual Mayberry meetup for this here podcast. That's right. Sponsored by the Two Chairs No Waiting podcast. And we're going to gather in Mount Airy, North Carolina for the weekend and just have a fun time fellowshipping and visiting together. So that's just a few of the things that are coming up. That's before the big event, Mayberry Days, September the 19th through the 25th. It'll be the 33rd annual Mayberry Days in Mount Airy, North Carolina. Make plans to be there. You've got to be there. And then finally, kind of rounding out the year for events that we know about, Clint Howard is going to be sailing with us as we go on Mayberry Cruise 15. That's right. October the 23rd through the 29th. We're going to be sailing and heading to the Caribbean aboard Carnival's Horizon. So we'd love to take you with us and just have some Mayberry fun with us. So if you'd like information about that, go and check out the eBullet and look at the event calendar there, and you'll find the information about how to get in contact about that. So, folks, we got some information about the news of cast and crew that Jim puts out as well. So Ron Howard received a Filmmakers Award from the Motion Picture Sound Editors at the Golden Reel Awards during a virtual ceremony that was held back on March the 13th. The award is bestowed upon individuals outside of the sound community whose career has demonstrated a great appreciation and understanding of the impact of sound editing. They had a reception for that in Los Angeles on March this 26th as well. So Ron's We Feed People documentary about Chef Jose Andres is in his World Central Kitchen Food Charity and had the world premiere at the South by Southwest Film Festival in Austin, Texas, back on March the 19th. Reviews of the film have been very positive, with descriptions like polished and emotionally stirring. The film was produced by Imagine Documentaries, that's one of Ron's companies, in association with National Geographic Documentaries. We look for We Feed People when it starts streaming on Disney Plus the end of May 27th. Ron's other movie, he's got a movie called 13 Lives. It's a feature film about the dramatic 2018 cave rescue in Thailand. That thing has been scheduled for release in mid-May, very recently, but the movie has tested so well with audiences and had some of the highest scores ever for an MGM release. At least that's what rumor has. And it's now been rescheduled for release toward the end of the year, which is a prime position for awards considerations. So they think this thing may win some awards. So they're moving it toward the end of the year. Great for Ron. Congratulations. Ron and his brother Clint Howard, Leon, who's going on the Mayberry cruise with us, were featured speakers at the Desert Town Hall lecture series in Indian Wells, California, back on March the 15th. The focus of the show was their show business, careers, and of course, the boys, their best-selling memoirs. That was published last October, and you can still get a copy at Weaver's if you're looking for one. Maggie Peterson Mancuso, Charlene Darlin, she says that she's pretty much maintaining her status quo from our previous reports that we've given you. She has had a really tough couple of years with several falls and some surgeries. And of course, worst of all, her husband, Gus Mancuso's passing back in December. She appreciates all the folks that are keeping her in your thoughts and prayers. So thank you so much for that. Newlyweds, Margaret Carey played Bess Muggins and Ellen Scobie, we just talked about a minute ago. And her husband, Robert, recently moved from Saratoga to the far southeastern part of North Carolina. It was another coast-to-coast move because you moved from, it was Florida coast to North Carolina. But it's not quite as far as the other coast-to-coast move she did from California to Sarasota back in 2020. Joy Ellison, that was Effie Muggins or Mary Wiggins, played Margaret Carey's daughter in the episodes. She had a lot to celebrate this past month. In addition to her birthday, which was March the 16th. Happy birthday, Joy. Two actors were nominated for the Best Actor at the Academy Awards for roles for which Joy served as their dialect coach. Nice, so congratulations to Joy. It was Jessica Chastain as Tammy Faye Baker, and then also Benedict Cumberbatch. He played a character named Phil Burbank in a movie called The Power of the Dog. But both films are also nominated for awards, or were, for including Best Picture. Joy recently wrapped up some work as a dialect coach for two projects about serial killers. Oh my goodness. Oh my. She was working with Keira Knightley on Boston Strangler. It's a feature film from Warner Brothers, and it'll also be out on Hulu. And working with lead actor Evan Peters in Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. It's going to be a mini series for Netflix. So, wow, Joy, she's a dialect coach. She wasn't teaching them how to actually do any of the other things that were portrayed in that movie. Karen Knotts has been busy promoting her Tied Up in Knots book, her memoirs, with a lot of interviews. She's been all over the place, especially on radio, TV, and online. She's been all over the place. And she has resumed her live shows, including sets at comedy clubs in Los Angeles area and her Tied Up in Knots shows on the road. And she just recently had a birthday as well. So happy birthday to Karen Knotts. The George Lindsay UNA Film Festival. You guys may not know much about that, but it celebrated its 25th anniversary earlier this month, or last month, I guess it was, because it was in March. In Florence, Alabama, the festival included a screening of Mayberry Man. It was attended by several of the Mayberry tribute artists who were also in the film, as well as by Court Howell, the son of Hoke Howell, who played Dudwash. He was also Court was also one of the movie's producers, along with his brother Stark, who wrote and directed the movie. Court and some of the tribute artists have been attending the other screenings throughout the month of March, and including some in Indiana, Tennessee, and Alabama. And there are more screenings planned for the months ahead, including there's one coming up in June in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So I'll give you more information about that as I find out. That's breaking news right here, because that's not in the eBullet. George Lindsay Jr. has been in the studio recording some more of his humorous songs and to film some music videos to go along with them. His songs and previous videos are available on YouTube, so you can go and look for George Lindsay Jr. On YouTube, and you should be able to find some of them. And 2 new videos are going to be timed for release this summer. George does want to warn all of us that the songs and the videos aren't necessarily exactly Mayberry audience type things. So keep that in mind as you go and look. George also says that Angel Girl, a indie sci-fi horror film that was released back in 2020, has been garnering, maybe that's the right word, some awards. But again, that also may not be Mayberry people's cup of tea. George's latest film work includes his repeatedly getting hit on the head by a rubber frying pan. He told me about this. I talked to him not too long ago. He doesn't even know the name of the movie, which may not even have a name yet. But it's hard for a big Three Stooges fan like George to resist an invitation to get hit on the head with a rubber frying pan. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Oh, man, there's so much stuff going on in there. Sadly, there's several people that were on the Andy Griffith Show or related to the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club have passed away since the beginning of the year, really. I'm not going to read these or even really mention them. We've talked about them possibly on the podcast before, but it's just go to the eBullet and honor some of these people, because it's really stuff that, it's heartbreaking to see our friends passing away, but boy, the memories of them bring a smile on our face every time we think about them. And we just want to remember them as we go through everything that's been going on. This has been a couple of years that have been pretty tough, and I don't want to dwell on those things, but I do want to encourage you to go and read the eBullet and read about the wonderful lives of these wonderful people that have contributed so much to not only the Andy Griffith Show, but to the fans of the Andy Griffith Show as well. So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of fun that's been going on. I will tell you, we've added 3 new chapters. That's right, 3 new chapters of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club. One of them is called Weenie Burger. It's in Charleston, South Carolina. The Cascade Club is in Eden, North Carolina. What a great name, Cascade. It's a Cascade. Oh, that's I can't talk like that's where the Fun Girls have been to the Cascade Club. And that's in Eden, North Carolina, as I said, and good old reliable Barney Fife in Reunion, Florida. Those are our 3 brand new chapters. So welcome to the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club to all 3. All 3 are there. So, man, it's just, it's always fun to see just new things, new folks coming in. The eBullet contains all kinds of information. If you haven't seen it, it's got stuff from Weavers. And finally, I want to bring in some of the chapter news, because this is stuff from all of us, from the folks who make the show and make these events keep happening. So in the chapter news section, the Mayberry chapter in Knoxville, Tennessee, they continue to meet every month, and they watched the Mayberry Man movie together in February and celebrated Joy Ellison's birthday in March. Members of the Mayberry chapter joined other chapters, primarily Mother Figure from Huntsville, Alabama. That's my chapter. Hearty-eating men and beautiful, delicate women. I want to say it like Briscoe. Hearty-eating men and beautiful, delicate women of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. They all joined in participating in various Mayberry Man screenings and events in Tennessee, Alabama, and elsewhere. And all 3 chapters were well represented, or will be, at the Mayberry I Love Lucy Day in Granville, Tennessee, coming up this Saturday. So April the 9th. Blood Brothers chapter of Macon, Missouri, and they had their annual Christmas party on February the 6th. That's right. Boy, y'all were busy during Christmas. You couldn't get together till the 6th of February. But they had a potluck dinner and exchanged gifts, and based on the Andy Griffith Show episodes. They also enjoyed a presentation by Sonny, a butcher who's been cutting game since he was 5 years old and helping his dad. That was a quote. And we kind of wonder if Sonny talked about how to cut meat. You think they'll ask that? Anyway, the group reports that his talk wasn't something from Diamond Gems. It was better. So there's the the blood brothers. I mean, they have a lot of fun together. The next day after their meeting, it marked the beginning of the chapter's 10th year as the organized group. And they're celebrating that milestone every chance they can, including they're going to have a summer barbecue in July. And members, this is another report, members of the Remembering Mayberry chapter from Chillicothe, Ohio, got together with members of the Andy chapter in Nashville, Tennessee, while they were in the area as part of the volleyball court maintenance crew for a local high school. They have some grandkids in the area, so they were there. That's awesome. And that's about it for our news from crew. Folks, there's so much going on. As I told you about iMayberry.com, that's a great place to go and find out stuff. And while you're there, you're going to see stuff like the iMayberry community. The iMayberry community is a group of just Mayberry fans. It's kind of a Facebook type place where you can go and be a part of it. It's run by, well, I started it, but it's actually run by Keith Brown, who plays Colonel Harvey at so many of the Mayberry events, if you know him. Great place to go and just visit and have some Mayberry conversations. And of course, you know about this podcast, but you know also about Burke on Mayberry. That's also a podcast. If you go to twocairsnowaiting.com, when you get there at the top, you'll see Burke on Mayberry. You'll see the Mayberry Bible Study, and you'll see the Mayberry Devotion podcast. There's four different podcasts you can go and check out. There's several things online as well at Facebook. There's the Gomer and Goober Pyle Comic Book Literary Guild, the TAGS Esquire Club. There's just a lot of them. So go and check it out, and check out the eBullet while you're there, and make sure you don't miss out on any of the fun stuff that's going on in and around Mayberry. So there you go. All right. So while we're at it, and we're fixing to head over and play some trivia, but first I got to talk about our sponsor, because I didn't do that earlier. Let's talk about that. This podcast every week is brought to you by Weaver's Department Store. Head over to Weaver's Department Store and check out Karen's book that we talked about just a minute ago, Tied Up in Knots. It's Tied Up in Knots, Me and My Dad by Karen Knotts. You can get an autographed version or a regular version. Great book. You want to go and check that out. And while you're there, you might want to check out the Mayberry Man playing cards. That's right. You can get 54 playing cards. You know, there's 2 jokers. And every card's got a different picture on the face of the card. So you can go and check that out and just have some fun playing rummy or gin or whatever it is you're going to play. I think you'll have a lot of fun. Head over to weaversdepartmentstore.com. Yes, it is a real store. weaversdepartmentstore.com. Go and check it out. So thank you to everybody that does shop over at Weavers. If you don't know, my wife runs Weavers, and I do the website for it. So head over and check it out, and that helps support this podcast. All right, guys, we're going to play our trivia. So get out your pencils. Here we go. Trivia time. I'm ready. So here we go. True or false question. Barney became knocked out after drinking a glass of milk. Barney became knocked out after drinking a glass of milk. True or false? Last read. Barney became knocked out after drinking a glass of milk. The answer, that's true. Yeah, it is true. It was true. Really hit the spot, too. All right. Number 2. Who raised Andy when he was a young boy? Who raised Andy when he was a young boy? All right. Get your answer. Last read, and then I'll give you the answer. Who raised Andy when he was a young boy? That would be Aunt B. Aunt B raised Andy when he was a young boy. All right. Question number 3. Question number 3. This is a multiple choice, but we'll see if you can get it without it. Who said, "I wouldn't marry you if you were the last man on earth"? Who said, "I wouldn't marry you if you were the last man on earth"? All right, I'll give you the multiple choice, but I think you got it already. Who said, "I wouldn't marry you if you were the last man on earth"? Was it Charlene? Was it Barney? Was it Thelma Lou? Or was it Janie? All right. I'm giving you the answer. Who said, I wouldn't marry you if you were the last man on earth? That was Barney. That was Barney when he was dressed up in the wedding dress. Remember that? That was Barney. When Nurse Terry was trying to get him. I don't know who Janie is, but it wasn't Janie. All right, so it's Barney. All right, number 4. Number 4. It's a true or false question. Barney bought a car from car thieves. True or false? Barney bought a car from car thieves. If I could read, it would help. Final read. Barney bought a car from car thieves. True or false? The answer, that's true. That's true. All right. So since we know it's true, number 5, who sold Barney his first car? Who was it? Who was that? Okay. Who was it that he got it? Huh? Come on. Who sold Barney his first car? All right, last read. Who sold Barney his first car? The answer is Mrs. Lash. Mrs. Lash. Yep. Mert. If you said Mert, I might give it to you, but it's Mrs. Lash. Mert Lash. All right, number, what am I on? 5? Is that what I'm on? I don't even know. All right, next question. Who said, without an intimate dinner, how are we going to get to Cole Porter? Who said, without an intimate dinner, how are we going to get to Cole Porter? Who said that? So this is number 6, by the way. Who said, without an intimate dinner, how are we going to get to Cole Porter? All right. Oh, Andy, without an intimate dinner, how are we going to get to Cole Porter? That was Barney. Barney said that. Barney said that. All right, number 7. Number 7. Opie and what friend found a baby on the courthouse steps? Oh, this is a little harder. You may or may not get it. Opie and what friend found a baby on the courthouse steps? I'll give you multiple choice on this. Was it Howie, Trey, Arnold, or Whitey? Opie and what friend found a baby on the courthouse steps? Howie, Trey, Arnold, or Whitey? The answer is Opie and what friend? Arnold found a baby on the courthouse steps. It was Arnold. That's right. All right, let's do one more question. Here we go. True or false? This ought to be easy. Briscoe Darling played the guitar. True or false? Briscoe Darling played the guitar. True or false? All right. The answer is Briscoe Darling played the guitar. That's false, so far as we know. We never saw him play the guitar. Never saw him. Okay. All right. So how did you do, guys? How did you do? How did you do on your trivia? Hope you did well. Hope you had fun. All right. So now we're going to go hear from SpiritWalker for Returning to Mayberry. So it's going to have him back this week. So let's go and check it out.
Won't you turn on the Andy Griffith Show? Forget all your cares and woes. Sit back, relax, and laugh with friendly folks you know. Take up your fishing pole.
Welcome to Returning to Mayberry with special correspondent SpiritWalker from the Andy Griffith Show Esquire Club.
Thanks, Randy. Welcome, Mayberry Spirit Watchers, to the Esquire Club. And today is a very special day at the Esquire Club because we are celebrating the birthday on March 31st of Randy Turner's 9th grandchild. It's a girl. Everybody's doing fine. Everybody's healthy and happy and celebrating. So we thought we'd give her a tip of the hat here at the Esquire Club with our gourmet blended cigars. In our cigar box today, we have our specially blended It's a Girl cigars. And we're going to celebrate here at the old Esquire Club. I'll smoke this one a little later when I'm feeling special sporty. We're all happy for Randy. You know Randy, he is another one of the contributors to this podcast. He does the This Week in Mayberry History segment, and we miss Randy very much. Can't wait for him to get back, but he's taking this little hiatus to spend with his new grandchild. Randy is a publisher. He owns Liberty Grove Press, which you can find at mayberrybooks.com. With all of his books, I have some in my library. You can see the 60 Years of Mayberry right there, and you can see the Mayberry First book. He also is the founder and owner of the Ambassadors Club. The Andy Griffith Show Ambassadors Program is located on mayberrybooks.com. You can get a magazine every quarter that tells you tidbits about the Andy Griffith Show. Randy Turner is a wealth of history about the Andy Griffith Show. You need to check him out. He will be at Mayberry Days in September. We love Randy. We can't wait for him to return. But for now, this segment, Returning to Mayberry, explores the possibility of connecting things to Mayberry and returning with something different to Mayberry. Now, the last thing that we had returning to Mayberry was a person, and that was Mayberry's fat little mayor, Dick Elliott. So let's start with him and see where we go from there. Richard Damon Elliott was born in Massachusetts in 1886. He performed in stage productions for almost 30 years before making his first film debut in 1933. As a kid, I remember him as the man who told Jimmy Stewart to quit jabbering and kiss Donna Reed in It's a Wonderful Life. Elliott was known for his portly appearance and his high-pitched voice, along with his distinctive sibilant S speech pattern, and he played Mayor Pike in 11 episodes of The Andy Griffith Show, and has the unfortunate distinction of being the first actor on the show to pass away while the show was still in production. He passed away on December 22nd, 1961, exactly 1 month before his final episode, The Manicurist, aired on January 22nd, 1962. Mayor Pike was the perfect bumbling foil for the country smarts of Sheriff Andy Taylor, of course played by the main star of the show, Andy Griffith. Griffith was a well-established comedian long before becoming a household name in television. He was born Andy Samuel Griffith, not Andrew Samuel, but Andy Samuel Griffith, in Mount Airy, North Carolina in 1926. For many years, Andy denied that the town of Mayberry was modeled after his hometown of Mount Airy, but finally he just had to admit that it was. Too many of the surrounding places and people's names in the town of Mayberry were just too close or spot on with people and places that Andy grew up with in Mount Airy, like Mayberry, Virginia, where his mother was raised. Andy was the creator and the mastermind behind the whimsy, folksy feel of the show, making Mayberry everybody's hometown. Andy's wife, Barbara Edwards, made one appearance on the show. So did Andy's father, Carl Griffith. Andy and Barbara adopted 2 children. They named them Andy Griffith Jr. and Dixie Griffith. Sadly, Andy Jr. passed away, but Dixie Griffith is a regular at Mayberry events to this day. Most famously, she appears regularly at the annual Mayberry Days event in Mount Airy, North Carolina, on the last full weekend of September every year. She usually appears as one of the fun girls from the show. She also made an appearance as a fun girl in the documentary The Mayberry Effect and appeared in the movie Mayberry Man. Another regular at Mayberry Days is our very own beloved Randy Turner. Randy loves to go to Mayberry Days, sign books, greet fans of the show, and he has also gotten to be very good friends with Dixie Griffith. But even outside of the show, Randy has rubbed shoulders with the famous people like Nick Clooney. You don't recognize Nick Clooney? He's George Clooney's father. But we're not talking about George Clooney. Let's talk about Nick. Nick was the news anchor at WKRC in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, that was a station whose tower was used for every opening sequence of the very popular television show WKRP in Cincinnati. And everyone knows the popular DJ of WKRP in Cincinnati. It was Dr. Johnny Fever, played by Howard Hessman. But before Hessman became the good doctor, he appeared under the name Don Sturdy in 2 episodes of The Andy Griffith Show. He appeared first as a simple counterboy in the 22nd episode of Season 8, Goober Goes to an Auto Show. So the circle is complete. From Dick Elliott to Andy Griffith and Mayberry, from Andy to daughter Dixie, from Dixie to Randy Turner, from Randy to Nick Clooney at WKRC in Cincinnati, from WKRC in Cincinnati to WKRP in Cincinnati's Howard Hessman, and back to Mayberry as Don Sturdy. So there you have it. From the main star to the Hotdog Bar, everything returns to Mayberry. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. It's about time to celebrate the birth of Randy's grandchild. You just keep spreading that Mayberry spirit. I thank you. It's so fine to spend some time with all these dear old friends of mine. Have a bottle of pop. Come on, let's watch the Andy Griffith Show.
All right. Thank you so much, SpiritWalker. Now, if you want to make sure you're checking out everything SpiritWalker's doing, you can head over to facebook.com/groups/TAGS Esquire Club, and you'll be able to check it out. So thank you for that. One clarification, Dixie was not in the Mayberry Man movie, but she was going to be. But because of the COVID stuff, she was not able to, but she still supported the movie and has been involved in that aspect of the Mayberry Man movie. So thank you. To Dixie, man, she has been amazing. She's been coming to these Mayberry events for years. And for a long time, she came and did the Fun Girl and didn't want anybody to know who she was. So it was probably a few years that she had been doing it before we finally started to tell people who it actually was, because she really enjoyed being able to just be there and do it. And honestly, she still is able to do that. People don't flock around trying to really bother her. She gets to really be a part of the Mayberry event and to see what it's all about and to be a part of that family that we have at these Mayberry events. So, wow, she's amazing. So great job, folks. I hope you have enjoyed this and enjoyed your time here in my little corner of Mayberry, ours, really, yours and mine. And I hope you have enjoyed it. And I would love to hear from you. You hear from me every week. I'd like hearing from you. So if you can give me a call at 888-684-8415, I would really appreciate that. And, it's just always so much fun to just have time to see everybody. So, folks, try to make it out to one of these Mayberry events and be sure to come up and tell Floyd that Alan said, hey. We'll see you next time, folks. Good night, everybody.